Real doctor. I thought once the muscle was gone, it could never come back.
It's time to build muscle.
I'm Dr. Andrew Collins, a physician specializing in senior health with over 20 years of experience working in London. Among the thousands of patients I've met, there are faces I'll never forget, like George Miller, 74, a former construction engineer, a man who once climbed scaffolding over 10 meters high, but now trembles when stepping onto the second rung of a ladder. I still remember his expression that first day, both embarrassed and afraid. He said,
Doctor, just bending down to tie my shoelaces makes me dizzy.
That sentence stayed with me for a long time. He hadn't just lost his physical strength, he'd lost confidence in his own body. In fact, many people over 60 are in the same situation without realizing it. They feel weaker, have back pain, sore knees, restless sleep, and think it's just a normal part of aging. But it's not destiny. The body can regain strength if it's used the right way. After the age of 60, the body starts to lose muscle mass, a condition called sarcopenia. Each year, we can lose 1–3% of our muscle, making it harder to move, climb stairs, or even stand up from a chair. I once asked George, "Would you like to take walks in the park again?" He replied, "I would, but I'm afraid of falling, and I hate having to rely on others." It's studying their brand adem. That fear of dependency pushed me to create the Strong Again program, designed to help older adults rebuild strength and confidence through simple daily habits, without a gym or special equipment. When we started, George could only hold his balance for a few seconds. We practiced basic movements, heel raises, light planks, and proper breathing while moving. I also adjusted his diet, adding more protein from fish, eggs, and beans, along with vitamin D and calcium supplements. After 4 weeks, he could walk around his home without holding onto the walls. 8 weeks later, he stepped into the park and said, "I feel like I'm 50 again." At that moment, I knew his body and spirit had both come back to life. George's story isn't a miracle. It's proof of how resilient the human body can be. Research from the University of Cambridge shows that just 20 minutes of light exercise a day can reduce the risk of falls and fractures in older adults by up to 30%. You don't need fancy equipment, just a mat, a bit of space, and one decision. Start today. In the next parts, I'll share the 3 most effective exercises for seniors to regain strength and confidence: plank, bird dog, and lunge. And if George's story made you think, follow this channel, leave a comment, or type 1 if you'd like me to send you the step-by-step guide in the next video. Because there's no such thing as a weak body, only a body that hasn't been used the right way. When I told George that we can actually rebuild muscle, even in our 70s, he looked at me in surprise. "Really, doctor? I thought once the muscles are gone, they can't come back." I smiled. "No, George, the human body has an incredible memory. It just needs you to give it a reason to wake up." The truth is, after 50, our bodies start losing muscle mass at an average rate of 1–2% per year. This process is called sarcopenia. It's natural, but it's not irreversible. When our muscles weaken, we don't just lose strength, we also lose balance and the ability to react quickly, like catching ourselves when we slip or standing up without effort. That's why muscle strength is the key to independence in old age. I've often told my patients, you don't need to run a marathon, you just need enough strength to tie your own shoes, stand up on your own, and walk confidently without fear of falling. That's true freedom. They were mother absolutely maybe one to weigh, one zalach, in rating Kraus. The good news is that modern medicine now clearly understands how to restore lost muscle. It doesn't come from a miracle pill. It comes from 3 things: protein, movement, and consistency. Let's start with protein, the building block of every muscle fiber in your body. When we're young, our bodies absorb and use protein efficiently. But after 60, this process slows down. So even if you eat the same amount as before, your body won't build as much muscle. That's why older adults actually need more protein to maintain or gain muscle. While a typical adult needs about 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, older adults should aim for 1.2 to 1.5 grams. For someone who weighs 60 kilograms, that's about 75–90 grams of protein a day. When I explained this to George, he laughed. "So I'd have to eat a dozen eggs a day?" I nodded and said, "Not quite, you just need to choose the right foods." And then stock this shabbling from Mr. Bide. In the UK, the best sources of protein are salmon, cod, eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken breast, lentils, and soy. The key is to spread your protein intake throughout the day a bit in the morning, some at lunch, and a lighter portion in the evening. I also recommend adding leucine, an essential amino acid that helps trigger muscle building. You can think of leucine as the switch that tells your body, it's time to build muscle. Leucine is found in eggs, lean meat, fish, and dairy products. Science has shown that combining light exercise with a leucine-rich diet can boost strength by up to 40% in just a few months, even for people over 70. Many of my patients didn't believe it until they experienced it themselves. One example is Mrs. Margaret Wilson, 69, who came to see me because she kept losing her balance. She used to be a dance teacher, but now even turning around too quickly made her dizzy. When I examined her, I found her leg muscles had weakened significantly. We started with the bird dog exercise and made sure she got enough protein every day. 3 months later, she walked into my office smiling. "Dr. Collins, I just walked around the park without stopping once." I always tell my patients, your body isn't working against you, it's simply responding to how you treat it. When you feed it properly and move it the right way, it responds with strength. Many people ask me, do I need to lift weights? The answer is, not necessarily. You can train using your own body weight plank, bird dog, and lunge the exercises I'll walk you through in the next section. What matters most isn't intensity, it's consistency. Your body doesn't need perfection, just daily care. A study from Oxford University found that older adults who stay active for just 30 minutes a day can extend their lifespan by 3-5 years and reduce their risk of falling by up to 40%. But the real benefit isn't in the numbers. It's the feeling of being truly alive, being able to step outside with confidence, walk with loved ones, or simply make a cup of tea without your hands shaking. When I saw George again a few months later, he stood taller and walked more steadily. He said, "I never thought a few small changes could make such a big difference in my life." I replied, "Actually, George, it wasn't just small changes, it was your decision not to give up, Spester. And that's what I want to tell you. Your body is still listening. It's still ready to recover if you give it the chance." In the next part, I'll guide you through 3 simple but powerful exercises, movements that can help you regain strength, balance, and confidence, no matter your age. So, grab a small mat, find a quiet space, and bring a little determination. We're about to begin. When I told Mr. George that we could rebuild muscle even at 70, he looked at me in surprise. "Really, doctor? I thought once muscle was gone, it couldn't come back." I smiled. "No, George. The human body has an incredible memory. It just needs you to give it a reason to wake up." The truth is, after the age of 50, our bodies start to lose muscle mass at an average rate of 1-2% per year. This phenomenon is called sarcopenia, a natural process but not an irreversible one. When muscles weaken, we don't just lose strength, we lose balance, and the ability to react quickly when we slip or try to stand up. That's why muscle strength is the key to independence in old age. I often tell my patients, you don't need to run a marathon, you just need to stay strong enough to tie your own shoelaces, stand up by yourself, and walk confidently without fear of falling. That is true freedom. The good news is, modern medicine now understands how to rebuild lost muscle. It doesn't come from any magic pill, but from 3 things: protein, movement, and consistency. Let's start with protein, the building block of every muscle fiber in your body. When we're young, our bodies absorb and synthesize protein efficiently. But after 60, that process slows down. Even if you eat the same amount as before, your body doesn't build as much muscle. That's why older adults need more protein to achieve the same effect. If a healthy adult needs about 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight, an older person needs about 1.2 to 1.5 grams. For someone who weighs 60 kilograms, that's about 75 to 90 grams of protein per day. When I explained this to George, he laughed. "So I'll have to eat a dozen eggs a day then?" I nodded and said, "No need for that, you just need to choose the right foods." In the UK, the best protein sources are salmon, cod, eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken breast, lentils, and soy. The key is to spread them evenly throughout the day, a little at breakfast, a portion at lunch, and something light in the evening. I also recommend leucine, an essential amino acid that helps trigger muscle synthesis. Leucine is found in eggs, lean meats, fish, and dairy products. You can think of leucine as a switch, the signal that tells your body it's time to build muscle. It's no the carding, and that was as rating. Science has shown that by combining gentle exercise with a leucine-rich diet, people can increase muscle strength by up to 40% within a few months, even after age 70. Many of my patients didn't believe it until they experienced it themselves. One example is Mrs. Margaret Wilson, 69, who came to me because she kept losing her balance. She had once been a dance teacher, but now even turning quickly made her dizzy. When I examined her, I found her leg muscles had weakened significantly. We started with the bird dog exercise and added steady protein intake. 3 months later, she walked into my office beaming. "Dr. Collins, I just walked around the park without stopping once." I always tell my patients, your body isn't against you, it only reflects how you treat it. Feed it the right nutrition, move it the right way, and it will respond with strength. Many people ask me, do I need to lift weights? The answer is, not necessarily. You can train using your own body weight plank, bird dog, and lunge. The exercises I'll explain in detail in the next section. The most important thing isn't intensity, it's consistency. Your body doesn't need perfection, it just needs daily care. A study from Oxford University found that older adults who maintain light physical activity for 30 minutes a day could extend their lifespan by 3-5 years and reduce the risk of falling by up to 40%. But the real benefit isn't in the numbers. The real gift is the feeling of living fully when you can step outside confidently, take a walk with loved ones, or simply make a pot of tea without trembling hands. When I saw George again a few months later, he stood taller and walked more steadily. He said, "I never thought a few small changes could make such a big difference." I replied, "Actually, George, it wasn't just small changes. It was the moment you decided not to give up and centered about Anand." And that's what I want to tell you. Your body is still listening. It's still ready to recover if you give it the chance. In the next part, I'll show you 3 simple but powerful exercises movements that will help you regain strength, balance, and confidence, no matter your age. So grab a small mat, find a quiet space, and bring a bit of determination. We'll begin together. After teaching my patients the 3 basic exercises, plank, bird dog, and lunge, I always remind them, you're not just training your legs or your core, you're training to live more fully every single day. Because health is not just a matter of the body, it's the way you experience life. And one thing I've learned after more than 20 years as a doctor is this: it's never too late to start again. One spring morning, about 4 months after we began his training, George came back to see me. He wore his old brown coat, walked into my office with a steadiness I hadn't seen before, and said, his eyes sparkling, "Doctor, I climbed the stairs today without holding the railing. Only a few steps, but it felt like climbing a mountain." I laughed and told him, "The stairs haven't changed, George, you have." In as well than fixtured 2 ender passes op. His progress reminded me that the human body is far more adaptable than most people believe. George's story isn't an exception. Over the years, I've seen dozens of men and women just like him, people who thought they were too old, too weak, or too late to change, and yet, within weeks, they proved themselves wrong. They started with shaky movements, a few seconds of plank, or a few slow lunges. Then, little by little, they rebuilt not just their muscles, but their confidence, balance, and pride. But exercise is only one piece of the larger picture. To build lasting health, you must care for your body as a whole. In my practice, I call this the golden trio of healthy aging. 3 simple but powerful pillars: nutrition, movement, and rest. 1. Nutrition. You don't need to eat more as you get older, you need to eat smarter. Each meal should include a high-quality source of protein: fish, eggs, beans, Greek yogurt, or lean meat. These are the building blocks your muscles rely on to stay strong. Try breaking your meals into smaller portions throughout the day instead of having one large meal. This helps with digestion and energy levels. And never underestimate vitamin D. A simple 15-minute walk in the morning sun is one of the best free medicines for your body. Sunlight helps your body absorb calcium, strengthening both your bones and muscles. 2. Movement. You don't have to spend hours in the gym to stay active. Just 20 to 30 minutes a day can make a remarkable difference. Walking, stretching, balance exercises, or the 3 moves I've already shared all help maintain mobility and prevent falls. What matters most is consistency. Choose a time that fits naturally into your day, maybe after your morning tea or before dinner in the evening. When movement becomes a normal part of your routine, your body stays strong almost effortlessly. 3. Rest. Finally, rest, the most underestimated part of wellness. Many older adults struggle with sleep not because their bodies are tired, but because their minds won't stop racing. They worry about the past or what they've lost instead of what they still have. I often tell my patients, let your mind rest before your body does. It is rate the apps of mine, turn off the TV, put away your phone, read a few pages from a book, or listen to soft music before bed. A deep, peaceful sleep allows your body to repair muscles and restore energy for the next day. Individually, these habits might seem simple, but together they form a perfect circle of health. Eat right to fuel your body. Move daily to stay strong. Rest deeply to renew your energy. Follow this golden trio, and no matter your age, you can live not just longer, but stronger, steadier, and more alive every single day. Would you like me to adapt this version for a video script or narration format? For example, more conversational and rhythmic? It would make it flow perfectly if you plan to record it.